But let's hear this, and then I'll give John McNesby, head of the FOP, a shot at this. Here's what Krasner said to that question.
Obviously, we want the streets to be as safe as they can possibly be. And to the extent that the Philadelphia Police Department and our law enforcement partners are able to bring us solid cases, we're going to bring charges. That's where it stands. Now, I say that, but I also need to say that especially when we are talking about things like drifting, or we are talking about sort of flash activity that happens all at once, where it's very hard to identify exactly who was there and people scatter quickly, that's a challenge. That is very hard. I don't care what police department or what law enforcement entity you're talking about. It's tough. With or without full staffing, it's very difficult. But to the extent that we are provided with that information, we're given a defendant, we're given an identified defendant, we have a solid case that establishes probable cause and the possibility of success, we absolutely are going to do that. And, going back to your other question, we don't have any patience for people who are deliberately concealing killers. That is a crime. And if anybody's in that position, there are occasions when family members who, frankly, as the sheriff said, don't want to be a part of that, find themselves in a predicament. Well, it's time to pick up the phone and get yourself out of that predicament. And let's address the situation, bring it to justice in the way that is safest for everybody and is not going to put relatives and loved ones in harm's way.
All right, let's go to the head of the FOP in Philadelphia, President John McNesby. Hey, John, welcome in. Thanks very much for joining us. The old dodge there of solid cases, blame the police, not a solid case.
Yeah. Was that Pinocchio on the line there? Because one thing he said was not true. I mean, they're not going to bring anybody up on charges. And until the city starts engaging these people that are out there doing this lawlessness, then they're going to continue to do what they're going to do. And it's the early part of the summer. And if they know they can get away with it, they're going to do it. And they're going to do it, and they're going to do it, and they're going to do it.
And, John, the guy involved who was shot, the 18-year-old from Glen Mills. So we're seeing people come to Philadelphia. And I don't remember, I agree with you, it's incrementalism. It's just going to get worse incrementally. But shutting off 95, that's an indictment of audacity. This never would have gone on with former police commissioners, DAs, and mayors. They would have known better. Not even Rizzo. Imagine what Richard Ross or somebody like that would have done in this case.
Right. I mean, at least then, but in all fairness, we probably had 1,000 more cops at that point.
Right.
And a beefed up patrol on 95. But still, to be able to stop in the middle of 95, block it off and do what you were doing is just complete, utter nonsense and craziness. I mean, and again, there's ways to handle this. They just got to let the police do their job. They send their police, they send you out there to respond to these locations, and they think because people see white cars with lights on top that they're going to stop doing what they're doing. They know that there's nothing that's going to, they won't be held accountable. They could do whatever they want. So the police just go there and they don't let them engage. And then you get them jumping on, they want to get with their phones out. They want to jump on the cars. They want to put bricks through windshields. That's what they find fun, these people doing this stuff. So until you engage those folks there, take their cars, which is their lifeline, then they'll start to wake up a little bit. But until then, we're going to be spinning our wheels going from location to location to location.
And John, I might add what you're saying there. Police are skilled enough. The command, some of these cops I've met, they know what they're doing. They're not going to take unnecessary chances. What they're going to do is they're going to try to pick off at least a few, box them in, and then hopefully the penalties will be such that others will be dissuaded. They're not going to go on wild car chases with 100 cars.
Right. No, they're not going to do that. They're trained. They know what they're doing. You're right. They get in there and they wind up keeping them pinned down to one area. Then you go through and you write as many tickets as you can, and you see if their car is legal. Most of them, if I'm a betting man, would probably not be legal. You take it, you confiscate it, and you let them go through the courts to get it back. And then once you do that on a couple weekends, that word will spread, and they'll go somewhere else, or they'll knock that activity off, guaranteed. So let us do our jobs. Let us engage and let us do our job.
And John, to that point, if this had been a Philadelphia cop, 2 cops already hit by this guy. Now, thank God it was minor injuries, if there is such a thing, and then the other cop discharged his weapon. I don't know what I would advise a Philly cop in that. Probably you're in a different role, but I'd say, if at all possible, don't fire there. You got Krasner if you're a Philadelphia cop. Does it make a difference, though, with a state cop here that he's going to tread a little bit more lightly?
I don't know. I don't believe anything that guy says. He's just on there talking about, if you give me the evidence for you, we'll have a defendant. That's not true. Everybody knows that. And the city administration knows it. The city police department knows it. But, I don't know, what his thoughts will be during this. I don't know the facts of that case, and I don't want to get too much into that.
Okay.
But those guys, I know that there's a lot of troopers that are out there that don't want to come into Philadelphia for overtime, and they have a couple of details regarding guns and stuff like that, that don't want to come here because of Krasner. They don't want to risk being in trouble, being arrested, and it's not really worth the overtime. So that's why we're having a hard time, getting our folks on Friday, Saturday nights when we really need you.
Well, John, it's got to look brighter, though. We have still into January and all before we have a new mayor, police commissioner, hopefully. And then you still got to take on Krasner. So give us your outlook over the summer. I think it's got to be to cops that you got to be as prudent as you can till we get past this period of time, that you have people that have your back.
Yeah, you're right. And I think, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. If we get 2 out of 3, we'll be okay. But until then, you're going to work these cops to death. I mean, you're extending their days, you're canceling their tours, you're working them and you're working them and you're working them. We're down under 5,400 cops when we should be around 6,800. I mean, it's not a rocket scientist to figure out that these guys are going to be, and girls are going to be overworked. It's going to be a hot summer, and they're going to be pissed off, and morale's already low. Where do we go from here? I just reached out to some people today. Martina White called me 6:45 this morning to figure out there needs to be some legislation put into place, whether it's regular legislation where it's enacted in the law, or temporary, whether it's for 2-3 years, to be able to bring more people on quickly. We had 1,100 people at the training academy come up there, and only 117 went through to the next step because they missed a push-up by 1 or 2, or they missed a run by 10 seconds. That's nonsense. Put them on. If they can't make that up in 10 months, shame on you. Then you're out. But this is an emergency. This is all hands on deck. We need cops on the street because we can't keep the community safe, and we can't keep ourselves safe.
And John, that's one, you just said something new there about, around the edges here. Let's get the cop out there. What about other incentives? So what is it that's necessary? Is there a magic? Salary is always a good incentive, but what else? What else has to be done to make this attractive?
I'm looking at maybe opening up, talking to the administration about opening up residency to Jersey to attract more people from Jersey to come in, to be able to keep cops. What's the difference? You're still going to be paying city wage tax for working here. Let's look at Jersey. Let's let people live in Jersey. That would attract or keep more people. They can extend this drop program for another year, which they're saying they don't want to do because they didn't get much bang for their buck. I don't care if you get a buck. If you're going to fill one position, we need people. Fill it. That's one more body. I mean, people don't understand out there, and I've been screaming about this staffing problem for months, that this is serious. I mean, it's never in the history of the city of Philadelphia been this low. I mean, there's police cars row after row in each district where they're not being used. I mean, we need the help.
Well, without a doubt. Now, you do a great job of it, too. It would help if the powers that be, the new ones, either David Ocherelle, Parker, or others, John, speak out against the media. I have the media headline of this shooting: man killed by Pennsylvania State Police on I-95. I mean, somebody reading this, and look, the girlfriend was distraught and all the stuff in this case, but there's got to be a fairer media output on this, the context of what cops face day to day, not just in this case, but more broadly, what it's like to be out there given the small numbers. When you have small numbers, you can be outnumbered pretty quickly. The one female cop had a brick thrown through her windshield this weekend.
And that's what I was saying earlier. You respond to these locations, you're called to these locations, and you can't do anything. What do they expect you to do? Until we start engaging these, you got to throw your hands up. Until we engage these people doing this, they're going to continue to do it. So and we have to send a message. I know we don't have a lot of cops out there right now, But they know how to work it, get rapid response teams, get ERTs, and move in on these locations and be able to do what they need to do. I know there's a plan in place, but we just got to have the green light from the administration to do old-fashioned policing.
Absolutely. John, thank you very much as always. Thanks for joining us.
You got it, Don.
All right. John McNesby here with some new stuff. Yeah. Why not Jersey? Why not wherever? Look, I don't want to drop down requirements too much to be a cop, but, around the edges here for, as he said, a probationary period. And if you can't do whatever the demands are by that point, you're out. Okay. That's what they need. They need incentives and they need more people that are going to stand up. I mean, in this situation, the only reason this guy got shot, I'm convinced, is it was a state cop. If it had been a Philadelphia cop, the fear of Krasner that's there. Dan, anything yet? Hopefully before the end of the show, we'll have what Krasner says today in this investigation. I'm surprised he's even holding a news conference. I thought he'd say they're still investigating at this point. We're looking for what the principal argument is by Krasner. I know he said in one place they want videos from people to see what actually happened. There's plenty of video footage of this. And the idea that police have to bring him solid cases, so-called, and he's going to prosecute them to the fullest of the extent of the law over this. I mean, just think about this. When have we seen people block off I-95 and then engage in this with their Confederates blocking off with cars 95? I don't remember in Philadelphia history anything quite this organized and bold. It's sending a message. And we had a nice call. A woman called from Atlantic City. Why don't you open up in Philadelphia more places where they can, first of all, the insurance thing, if you're a city operated and you're letting these maniacs do that there, they're in a video game. They're on social media. They want to show you they're going to do whatever they want. And it is sad that an 18-year-old lost his life here, but his girlfriend commenting on it that media played, the last 24 hours is out of line. They ought to put it in context.